Welcome to First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, the birthplace of congregational humanism. We carry on that tradition of free thought today, dedicated to promoting a free search for truth, meaning, and justice. Our web address is firstunitarian.org. I'm David Breeden, Senior Minister. Welcome.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our multimodal assembly for Sunday, August 28th, 2022. Whether this is one of your first times with us or you've been here many, many times and for many, many years, we are delighted that you are here as a part of our gathered community. If you are in our virtual community joining us online, we hope you'll make use of the chat feature and check in with each other, say howdy, and see who's there. And if you're here in the building, we are delighted to see you in 3D, see your faces. And we hope you'll join us downstairs for your mini meal. I imagine it is not a surprise to the people in the kitchen what they're cooking, but it is a surprise to me. So whatever it is, we know it will be delicious. If you're new to our community or you've been hanging around for a little while and you think the time is right for you to decide if you're ready to become a member or investigate more about that. Tomorrow evening, August 29th, we're having a Pathway to Membership session from 6:30 to 8 p.m. We'll have a light supper and talk more about what membership means. If you are interested in doing that, please see me after assembly today. I'd love to talk to you more about that. Let's see, we want to have a couple announcements that I want to follow with you. We are so delighted to welcome our new music director, Mike Vozich. And we want you for reinvigorating our FUS Chalice Choir. All of you are welcome to participate in this SATB choir. Soprano, alto, tenor, bass, right? SATB choir. Rehearsals will be on Wednesday, beginning on August 31st. That's this Wednesday, from 7 to 8 in the Dietrich room. Oh, it's here in this room because we're expecting a big crowd. So.
We don't have any keys on that piano yet.
Oh, there are no keys. So that's a little problematic for you. Is it? All right. So we're going to be in this room for now for that choir rehearsal. Mike, can people come and see you after assembly and ask you any questions?
Please do, anytime. Yeah.
Do you have to be a professional musician or a great reader to join this choir?
It's open to anybody right now.
How about that?
Yep, come on down.
How about that? Come on. Oh, that's going to be so great to have a choir back on our stage. After assembly today, I want to invite you to learn more about the Hiawatha Golf Course plan that is before the Minneapolis Parks and Rec Board. And so downstairs today in our lower assembly hall, we'll have some folks who've been working on that plan. And if you're a Minneapolis voter and you're going to be voting in the election, because you're going to be voting in the election, come and hear about a climate resilient 9-hole course and how you can get involved and help make that happen. Our Active Voices team has always got a good message and a way for us to help make a difference. I think tomorrow is the last day for responses to the Willow climate disaster. And do we have an Active Voices table today? Does anybody know? Not sure, but there may be folks downstairs who can tell you about it, but always in the Friday email, you can learn more about that. Okay. Our theme is the long light of summer, finding rest, wonder, and joy. Today's reading is by Mary Oliver, a naturalist if there ever was one. This is a favorite of many of ours. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth rather than up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous, complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Come, let us gather in community.
This song comes from the country gospel tradition, but except for a few floating angels, the message is one we humanists can appreciate as well, we think.
Soft as the voice of an angel, breathing a lesson unheard. Hope with a gentle persuasion whispers a comforting word. Wait till the darkness is over. Wait till the tempest is done. Hope for the sunshine tomorrow after the shower is gone. Whispering hope, like the song of the angel, making my heart in its sorrow rejoice. If in the dusk of the twilight dim be the region afar, will not the deepening darkness brighten the glimmering star? Then when the night is upon us, why does the heart sink away? When the dark midnight is over, watch for the breaking of day. Whispering hope, like the song of the angel, making my heart in its sorrow rejoice. Whispering hope, like the song of the angel, making my heart in its sorrow rejoice.
Each week, we begin our service by lighting our chalice and reciting one of our principles or aspirations. Today, we remember the first aspiration of First Unitarian Society. We aspire to live joyfully and ethically in loving, reverent relationship with humanity and nature. And now we'll all sing, please. If you would stand as you are able and willing and remain standing after the song for the beauty of the earth. It's both number 21 in the Gray Songbook, and it will appear up here for you. And if you'll remain standing for our congregational covenant. Love is the spirit of this place, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Thank you. Please be seated.
Special report from Retreat to the Woods. And the woods. This is the itinerary for the weekend. This is the lodge. Here's where we sleep. This is the inside of a cabin. It's quiet. It's fun. There's an outhouse. Some turkeys. You can go canoeing. Nature art. We get real close to nature on this weekend. Oh, and we also eat. And eat. Those are our chefs. And eat. Playing in the lodge. Reading, hanging out. Having fun. Learning. Here we're knitting. And here's some kids learning to knit. And a family. We love families at the retreat. And friends. There's a lot of singing. And we hang out by the fire outside, make some s'mores. We go on nature walks and find swans. When's the last time you saw a swan? The Retreat to the Woods is special. It's the first weekend in October. And you are invited. Please sign up today on the FUS website. We'll have more information there, and we really hope to see you there. It's been a long time, and we all deserve a retreat.
Yes, we do. And while you're at the website, definitely sign up for that. And also, you can help us out with some cash. First Unitarian Society is a one-of-a-kind congregation. We are the place where congregational humanism was invented, and we have been carrying that tradition on since 1916. But we are an independent and self-supporting congregation, and that means that we need the help from you in time, talent, and treasure. I hope members got your survey this week. Don't forget to fill out the congregational survey, and we will be putting interest levels of things in our database, and also to the leaders of the groups that you are interested in joining. So definitely do that this week, because we need you here to keep First Unitarian Society going strong. The easiest way to give is to go to that website, firstunitarian.org, click on the Give link at the upper right corner. You can also give on PayPal and Vanco mobile app. You can send a check, and our temporary acting, who going on 3 years now, Alan Callender, our finance director, will be downstairs after assembly today to help you out if you would like to use our kiosk downstairs. Thank you so much for making First Unitarian Society possible.
On Sundays, when we gather, we take a few minutes to reflect on the joys and the sorrows and the milestones of the human experience. We do this so that we stay in touch with our own humanity. We do this to remind ourselves of the value of a moment of stillness. And we do this so that no one among us is alone, either in celebrating joy or in facing the burdens of life. We have a joy and a sorrow today. The joy is that longtime FUS member Helen Thompson turned 100 years old on August 26th. Happy birthday, Helen. We are so delighted to celebrate with you. And a sorrow today, longtime FUS member Jack Alwyn died on August 20th. His obituary is in the paper today in the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. We hold Jack's family, especially his wife Joyce, in our thoughts and send good love to you. And when there is information about a memorial service, we will, of course, share that here. We now take a moment of silence to reflect on the challenges and heartbreak going on in our lives and across the world. And we think with gratitude of those who are living lives of justice, service, and compassion. When I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Paul, you wrote this song, didn't you?
I did. It was the first song I wrote for your voice.
Aw,
Yeah.
I don't know that I remembered that. That's so sweet.
That's us.
We have fun together.
Yeah.
In this life of joy and pain, a thought bears repeating again and again. For those about us who give of their souls, we give thanks for making us whole. When I was down in the pit of despair, I finally reached out and others were there. They gathered me in and helped me to see there was a love much greater than me. Giving thanks to the people who showed me they cared. Giving thanks to the people who taught me to share. Giving thanks for the love that binds us all here and teaches us gratitude every day of the year. in spite of it all. Without the darkness, what is the light? Without the evil, what is right? Whatever may be, whatever may fall, I am grateful for it all. Giving thanks to the people who taught me to share, giving thanks to the people who showed me they care, giving thanks for the love that binds us all here and teaches us gratitude every day of the year, and teaches us gratitude every day of the year.
That's my brother, Paul. Just take my stuff.
Well, yes, flat picking and talk of outhouses. I feel right at home in my hillbilly soul. I'll have a little bit of Hot Springs, Arkansas water for that. Because it says on the bottle it's good for me. Must be true. Last week, I shared a series of 3 tweets that I saw recently on American Atheist Twitter. The first tweet read, "I quickly became an atheist after leaving an Orthodox Christian faith. 5 years later, I'm open to spirituality, but absolutely no organized religion." Now, the response came back, "I cannot get my head around what is meant by spirituality. Are we really talking about spirits in this day and age? LOL." And the response came back from the first tweeter, "For me, spirituality is embracing the unknown with a sense of awe and childlike wonder. There's plenty we still don't know about life. I'm open to the strangeness of the universe without dogma." Now, as I pointed out last week, these 3 tweets demonstrate not only personality differences among secular non-religious people, such as humanists and atheists and agnostics, but also a generational divide. And in a multicultural, multi-generational congregation such as First Unitarian Society, respecting diverse ideas is what we do. It's part of the practice of a relational, communal gathering. After all, every week we repeat our congregational covenant and say, "This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another." And we mean that. Both humanism and Unitarian Universalism stand or fall according to how those already within the movement greet people wanting to come into the movement. How are they greeted? To help frame how this works, I pointed out last week that I see humanism as breaking into 3 distinct historical periods. The late 19th and early 20th century humanism that closely followed the thinking of pragmatist philosophers like William James and John Dewey. That's the first period, and that's the one that formed here in 1916. The second distinct period of humanism was born out of the experience of the Second World War. This humanism was a result of vast federal spending on science and technology, which led to explosive growth in American universities and built the America that we live in today, including the sprawling segregation of American suburbs and neighborhoods and the brutalizing extremes of poverty and wealth we have in our nation. The humanism of that second period reflected the optimism of the time, a vision of science and technology, building a nation of educated, affluent citizens. But as I said last week, that didn't happen. I'm calling the attitude of the second tweeter, the second wave humanism, I think I'll call it suburban humanism, with all the dripping irony that suburban has come to reflect scientism, opportunity hoarding, and white flight. As I see it, a new humanism, a third wave of humanism is struggling to be born, one that, as the third tweet expresses it, exhibits an openness to strangeness. Because if there's one thing our planet has plenty of at the moment, it is strangeness. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the thought worlds. In theology, it's called a social imaginarium, reflected by those two different tweeters. In our strange world today, there's a lot of anti-Enlightenment sentiment. When we talk about the age of Enlightenment, the focus is generally on the late 17th and early 18th century, when ideas such as, the scientific method, secular government, representative government, individual rights, and the rule of law became popular topics among Europeans. To complicate the picture, it was also the era of murderous expansion, of European colonialism, and of racialized slavery. Now, there are lots of things to respect and lots of things to criticize about European Enlightenment thought. But one thing that often gets forgotten in our contemporary dismissal of the Enlightenment is that the criticism of those ideas is nothing new. I would even argue that there's been far more ink spilled through the centuries criticizing the Enlightenment than in praising its aims. The European artistic matrix nowadays called Romanticism was an early reaction against the increased focus on reason and science of the day. And if you've ever taken your European history class, you memorized the periods: Middle Ages, Renaissance, Reformation, Enlightenment, Romanticism. And yes, it's a pendulum swing. The Romantic movement started in Germany, it spread across Europe, and eventually it even got to the backwards United States among Unitarians, and we called that Transcendentalism. The essence of all those movements and the center of the criticism today is that scientific thought and reason is reductive. The questions are always the same. Where's the mystery? Where's the art? Where's the Sturm und Drang? Where's the spirituality? Where's the room for strangeness? Where's the wonder and awe in a naturalistic, materialistic view of the cosmos? Now, one person who took the question of reductivism extremely seriously was a Scottish writer of the 19th century named Thomas Carlyle. Yes, he is the essence of Victorianism as well, and you can't smile if you're a Victorian. Not much is known today outside of universities about Carlyle, but he was one of the most influential writers of the 19th century to American writers, from 1830s through the Civil War, roughly. Carlyle's thought was so important to artistic young Americans that the young and then unknown Ralph Waldo Emerson took ship to Scotland, showed up on Thomas Carlyle's doorstep unannounced, and thus began a bromance that lasted through almost the entire 19th century because both of these guys had very long lives. At the end of his life, deep in dementia, Emerson still recognized and commented on photos of Carlyle. Now, the book that inspired an entire generation of American writers and created Transcendentalism was a novel by Carlyle from 1831 titled Sartor Resartus, The Life and Opinions of Herr Teufelsdreck. Thanks, Paul, for helping me speak German, sort of. Sartor Resartus is Latin. I can read that one. It's tailor retailored. Tailor as in sewing clothes, retailored. In the novel, Carlyle creates a character named Diogenes Teufelsdreck, meaning something along the lines of God-born devil's dung. And those are that's the level of humor in Carlyle, but frankly, right? But Teufelsdreck is a troubled young German romantic scholar who has written a book titled Clothes, Their Origin and Influence. Now, by the way, Carlyle is credited with creating the nowadays university study of clothing, which did not exist at the time that he made it up, and apparently he thought that was too absurd and greatly funny, but he also invented the study in universities. So what was Carlyle saying that was so new and exciting to those young Americans of the early 19th century? For one thing, Carlyle was fluent in German, and so read the German Romantic poets and philosophers in the original before those were being translated into English. So he was talking about something brand new in the English-speaking world. What did Carlyle say? He titles one chapter of that novel, Natural Supernaturalism, and says this, for example: existence itself is miraculous. Life contains elements of wonder that can never be defined or eradicated by physical science. You get the idea of the criticism. You can see how this idea summarizes what young Americans were looking for: a way to transcend the senses and materialism, and therefore evading the reductive scientific way of thinking, while at the same time respecting those advances in applied technology, reason, and science. That was their program. Carlyle said this in a letter from the time: that the supernatural differs not from the natural is a great truth, which the last century, especially in France, has been engaged in demonstrating. The philosophers, that's the French philosophers, and Carlyle didn't like the French, but he did like the Germans, so that's why he's criticizing the French. They went far wrong in this, that instead of raising the natural to the supernatural, they strove to sink the supernatural to the natural. The gist of my whole way of thought is to do not the latter, but the former. Now, he also was a very effulgent writer, shall we say, using way too many words. But instead of raising the natural to the supernatural, they strove to sink the supernatural to the natural. And of course, that word sink says everything about his program. Carlyle's project, which became the project of Unitarian Transcendentalists in the U.S., and other Americans like Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman, became an effort to raise the natural world to the level of the supernatural world, to enchant the world that reductionist science and materialism they saw as damaging. As Emily Dickinson wrote scandalously for that time period, some keep the Sabbath going to church. I keep it staying home, with a bobolink for a chorister, an orchard for a dome. God preaches, a noted clergyman, and the sermon is never long. So instead of getting to heaven at last, I'm going all along. End quote. Carlyle praised the writing of the young transcendentalists for, quote, the recognition of a higher faculty than understanding of reason, the pure, ultimate light of our nature. And by the way, he's pointing out a common mistake that a lot of people even today make about transcendentalism. And when you're looking at a Dickinson or an Emerson or Thoreau, you can't get it backwards or you don't get it. They were not searching for ways to exist on pink clouds of transcendent imagination in some sort of fantasy world. They were looking for ways to express real clouds that can be seen and painted and photographed. They wanted the actual wonders of our existence on this planet, and that they thought would reveal the pure, ultimate light of our nature. So, instead of getting to heaven at last, we could be going all along. Awe, wonder, mystery, strangeness, the pure ultimate light of our nature. Now, for strange, how about the Tiktaalik rosei, a reptile from the late Devonian period, which I haven't memorized, but it's 375 million years ago about. Many now think that the Tiktaalik is the so-called missing link, a sea creature that, by random mutation, evolved the ability to survive part of the time out of the water, thus gaining an edge that eventually led its descendants, such as Homo sapiens, to exist on land. Now, you can purchase a throw pillow to celebrate your ancient relative tick, by the way. All you got to do is go online. I'm a proud descendant, right? You can even purchase greeting cards to send to all your relatives celebrating the real relative, which is Tick. There he is doing his acrobatics onto land. Yep, he is everyone's relative. Awesome, I'd say, wonderful, mysterious, strange, the pure ultimate light of our nature. Then we have this creature, the epaulet shark. It's contemporary. It's a news story. Epaulet sharks are evolving right before our eyes. Some epaulets are adjusting to the disappearance of water due to climate change by spending more and more and more time on land. They are now ranging up to 100 feet from the water's edge, and it's getting bigger. In the case of the epaulet shark, we may well be looking at the next master of our planet long after the environmentally disastrous reign of Homo sapiens has been long forgotten. Could be awesome, mysterious, and strange, I would say, to think about. I hasten to mention that I love living in a naturalistic world. I don't believe the universe has a purpose, and I don't think it's headed for any particular purpose, and that's good with me. I don't believe that human beings are the cosmos attempting to be aware of itself any more than the universe is attempting to be aware of itself through all the other conscious beings, sparrows, squirrels, rabbits. I also don't believe that human consciousness continues to exist after death, and that's real good with me. The vast recycling center that is our cosmos is all the eternity that I feel like I need, because just imagine all the places we're going to go and all the things we're going to look like as we get recycled endlessly through our cosmos. We are conscious animals among many other varieties of conscious animals. We are on a planet among many other planets. We are in a solar system among many other solar systems, and that, I think, is awesome and mysterious and strange. What Thomas Carlyle attempted to achieve with the concept that he called natural supernaturalism was raising the natural world to the level of the supernatural, to enchant the material world that science and human senses easily perceive, and thus, sadly, we forget just simply to look around us at how amazing this world is. Natural supernaturalism nowadays is called religious naturalism, but that's a term that only comes in the 1970s and 80s. Now, Dr. Demian Wheeler, a philosopher of religion at United Theological Seminary in St. Paul, defined religious naturalism in this way at a forum that he offered right here at First Unitarian Society. Quote, "Religious naturalism is a perspective that regards nature as both exhaustive of reality, meaning there's no supernatural, and worthy of deep reverence and devotion. On the one hand, nature is all there is. There is no such thing as the supernatural. On the other hand, it is both possible and desirable to live a spiritually fulfilling existence on a completely naturalistic basis." Now, the photos that are on the wall, thanks Tim for putting those up, are from the Hubble Telescope. We've had them for a while. So far, the Hubble has photographed objects as far away as 10 to 15 billion light years. And the farthest area that it has probed is called the Hubble Deep Field, 10 to 15 billion light years away. Now, the photos on the screen are from the James Webb Space Telescope has just now started operating. The James Webb Space Telescope has now peered 35 billion light years away, more than twice as far. Now, if those photos don't knock your socks off, as again my old hillbilly saying is, you ain't got no socks. Dr. Wheeler says it this way: for the religious naturalist, nature itself is capable of evoking awe, wonder, gratitude, amazement, celebration. Nature itself is the object of our ultimate concerns. That's theological talk for God, right? Ultimate concerns and commitments. Nature itself is sacred, i.e., vitally and centrally important, and thus deserving of our utmost loyalty. And Thomas Carlyle couldn't have said it better, right? Being or becoming transcendent is not the right term for a mystical experience that convinces you that all that you see in the natural world is really supernatural. As Thomas Carlyle said, that the supernatural differs not from the natural is a great truth. And as for me, I would say that that is the greatest truth of them all. And not only is it a truth, as I mentioned last week, it's also a fact. How do we achieve the wholeness that we feel we've lost? Well, by re-enchanting our worlds. How do we each enchant our world? By becoming, how about becoming a magician or a wizard or some kind of artist? Artists doing all sorts of arts, even the fine art of creating ourselves. The poet, visual artist, and Unitarian E.E. Cummings wrote, "The artist is no other than he who unlearns what he has learned in order to know himself." And I'll broaden the genders out a little bit on that one and say, artists are no other than those who unlearn what they have learned in order to know themselves. That's the invitation that life extends to each of us in our religiously naturalistic world, to experience deeply the pure, ultimate light of our nature, so that instead of going to heaven at last, we're all going all along.
Well, that deserves a song. Number 1007 in our Teal songbook, and also up here, there's a river flowing in my soul. And please stand as you are willing and able.
repeat with me, please, our extinguishing the chalice words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. All of these we carry in our hearts and in our minds until we are together again. Please be seated so we can hear one more wonderful song. I do want to leave you with the words of the great Howard Thurman, one of the inspirers of Dr. Martin Luther King. Howard Thurman wrote this: "Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive. And go do that, because that's what the world needs, people who have come alive."
Grand Ole Opry time.
There's a dark and a troubled side of life. There's a bright and sunny side too. Though we meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten up the way if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. The storm and its fury broke today, crushing hopes that we cherish so dear. Cloud and storm will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. So keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten up the way if we'll keep on the sunny side of life. Come on.
Mr. Kelly.
So let us greet with a song of hope each day. Though the clouds be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our goodness always, and hold each other close in tender care.
Y'all sing.
Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten up the way if we'll keep on the sunny side of life.
Let's go have mini meal.
There's some food downstairs. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Wow.
Thanks, Dave.
Lovely, lovely.
Lovely, you too. That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you.